Okay, TB Shores, I'm back. It is June the 30th still, 2020, and it is 10:10 a.m. I just wanted to try to make one more quick video, kind of giving a little bit of understanding to this, the kingdom's coming, the dark and the light, and the mirrored image. Satan mimics many things that he does, mocking or mimicking or mirror imaging the things of God. Now, when it comes to the two kingdoms coming, if we understand that the kingdom that's rising will be the kingdom of the Antichrist, the kingdom of Satan, the kingdom of darkness. Okay, understanding that the kingdom of the Antichrist has to be a mirror image of what is of the Lord. I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this. So as the Antichrist, as the darkness rises, the kingdom of darkness rises, and the Antichrist comes into play, he has to seem as though he is the Messiah, that he is the one, okay? And so he has to mirror the things that Jesus did, things that God has done. And so one of the things I wanted to point out specifically to the coming of the kingdoms, the kingdom age, and these kingdom of light and the kingdom of darkness that are coming, is one of the things that Satan has done to spark this off, to set this in motion, is basically a mirror image of what we see when God created man and give him dominion over all he had created. And giving him dominion means he set him over the kingdom, okay, of what he had created. So it was about a kingdom, and God created man. What I want to, I'm not sure if I'm explaining this the best way to understand, but when we look at what happened in the beginning, we see in Genesis 2:7, it says, "And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul." Okay, when we pop back over to Genesis 1:27 and 28, it says, "So God created man in his own image, and in the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion." That's setting forth a kingdom, okay? "Have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the fowl of the air and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth." So Satan is trying to set up his dominion, okay, his kingdom on this earth. And when we pop back over to Genesis 2:7, we can see the mirror image of how Satan has begun this, okay, and how we can know that the kingdom age has begun. It's about this struggle with the light and the dark. I know I've said that before, but the Lord has me to repeat these things because many times it doesn't sink in unless people hear it again and again, and the Lord wants us to understand it has begun. Okay, in Genesis 2:7, where we see that the Lord God breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. What would be the mirror image of that if Satan were to try to bring his kingdom and dominion? Okay, the mirror image of that would be to take the breath away and bring death. Instead of giving breath and bringing life, it would be to take the breath away and bring death. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's what is exactly what happened to George Floyd. Because if you remember, and I'm sure you do, the phrase that came out of this that is being repeated in the demonstrations, the protests, the riots that are going on is, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Well, God gave breath, okay, and then brought about his kingdom on earth in the beginning when he set man forth. He breathed life into man and gave him dominion, gave him the kingdom, okay? Well, that's what the Lord is taking us back to. He's taking us back to the beginning. He's restoring all things. He's making all things new and taking us back to giving us the kingdom. This is all about the kingdom coming. Yes, the Lord will rule and reign 1,000 years on this earth, but it is about taking things back to where they were to be. So when we look at the beginning and we understand that God gave breath and breathed life into man, and we see the mirror image of that has took place where the breath was taken from a man and brought death. We can see that is the mirror image of the kingdom of darkness, mirroring, mocking, mimicking, however you want to phrase it, but that is the bringing of the kingdom of darkness as a mirror image of what God did in the beginning. And I just wanted to get that put out there because it's important to understand what is taking place. And through this, it began the rise of the darkness, because of course we can see evidence of that with the continued increase of rioting and destruction. And I think those of us that are awake, those of you who listen to my videos, you're fully aware that the kingdom of darkness is rising, that the evil is rising. This is about the level of evil that is going to increase and increase and increase. Now, I have dates that the Lord has given me that are significant, and I need you to understand this, the importance and the significance of 522 as it relates to bringing the kingdom. Hopefully the next, I'm not sure if there's some other things that I need to help lay the groundwork so that when I pick up from 522, you fully understand why 522 is important. That's why I keep bringing you more things that are pointing to 522. Now remember, 3 days after 522 is when this happened in Minneapolis. It's when this happened that the breath was taken and brought, the breath was taken and it brought death, which is a mirror image of God giving breath and giving life. 3 days later, from the 22nd, we see that this took place. We see the death of Mr. Floyd there in the Twin City, which points us to understand. So God always points us back to things. So we see the connection, and it helps us to tie things together better. So I hope this is helping. We see the Twin Cities. We see that the Lord began the understanding of 522 with Gemini, which is the sign of the twins, the opposite twins, the light and the darkness, and that's what has begun. Now I'm going to cut this off here. If you have any questions, if you don't understand, please leave comments and let me know, and I'll try my best to clarify or maybe do another video to help understand, because I really want you to understand the significance of our count beginning on 522. And I want to re-emphasize yesterday how the Lord showed me 522 as an expiration date on something of my son's. The expiration date was 5/22, and the clock on my daughter's stove had stopped at 5/22. It was broken. It was stopped. They hadn't been able to get it to come off of 5/22. So, understanding that those are about pointing us to an expiration and a stopped time. It's a time that has ended. It ended at 5/22, and the new began, which is the kingdom age that is coming. There's no way I can make that up. 5/22 on my son and my daughter's things, both indicating a stop in time and a deadline. There's just no way that you could make that up. And it also connects to something else we'll get into later. But I'm going to cut this off here. I hope this gives a little more understanding, and hopefully we'll get into explaining some things about the kingdom age, the kingdom that's coming, the significance of some things that God has shown me, how it ties into the dates that I'm going to point out, and just be praying that God guides me in understanding, helps me to use my time most efficiently as possible, because I do have limited time to get videos made where I have quiet and everything to get things done. So just be praying that He guides me and that I can get these things out to you. I love you all. Bye-bye.